Oh, yeah.
We're back.
Yeah, here we are. First recording of 2025.
New
So,
year. New year.
new year, same old shit. Same old us.
I'm going to say new year, new me.
Well, whatever. We'll see about that. So, what is new in 2025? This is going to be Refrigerator Stew podcast. We're cleaning out the fridge. We've got a bunch of short little questions and topics that may not, be fleshed out into a whole episode, but we can combine a bunch of them here and just
Burn through them.
Burn through them. Get them out of the way. Hopefully, spark some discussion in the comment section. And so, one thing that's new for 2025. So we've made this decision that we want to, as far as leading trails at Chili Challenge in 2025, we want to jump up to the extreme trails, and which isn't a big jump. It's not a big difference, right? I mean, there's a jump in technical difficulty, but as far as the vehicle ratings, it's moving up to a 37-inch tire requirement as opposed to 35, and I think at the hard level, the 6s and 7s, you're allowed to have a limited slip differential, and in the 8 to 10 class, you need front and rear lockers, no limited slip. So we're doing that. We went down last weekend.
It seems like a month ago, but I think it was.
Yeah,
just
I think it was
last
just
weekend.
last weekend. We went down and started, running some of these trails to get more familiar with them. Some we've been on before, but it's a different perspective when you're just running with somebody. Somebody else is leading, but when you're trying to memorize it and really learn it and think about how you're going to get other people through it, it's a different experience. So we did that. What did we run last weekend? We ran Minefield, Frame Twister, and Off Again. And these trails, for those who don't know, are in the Caballo area of southern New Mexico, which is about an hour north of Las Cruces. And for those of you who don't know where that is, that's about 40 miles northwest of El Paso, Texas. So just amazing trails down there. The southern New Mexico has some amazing rock and rock crawling, a lot of public land. So one of the questions that came up was, asking about an honest comparison between northern New Mexico and southern New Mexico trails. And we'll probably do this more in depth at some point when we have one of our friends from down south join us, because they wheel in both areas. We've wheeled in both areas. So, I mean, from my point of view, if we're looking at Farmington, right, that's the big Chokecherry Canyon, that's the Glade Run area. That's really where, when you think of northern New Mexico trails, that's what you're thinking of, right? And it reminds me quite a bit of the rock in Utah. They call it slick rock in Utah, but it's actually really grippy. It's kind of like driving on sandpaper, sandstone. And I know it's not the same mineral composition, but the surface of that rock reminds me a lot of Sand Hollow or Moab type rock.
Yeah, I think it's a nice I think right the difference between I was kind of thinking maybe Caballo and up here, but there really right is that it's different wheeling. It's definitely a different type of wheeling, right? That rock is just different. It's not jagged. It's not sharp.
It's relatively smooth, like Utah, very grippy. Especially where it's not worn. I mean, if you've wheeled in Utah, you know that where you get a lot of the obvious lines where the black marks are, right? The rubber is in the rocks. It can get pretty smooth and loaded up with rubber. So it can get slick in those areas. But yeah, the rock in southern New Mexico is really severe, really jagged, a lot of vertical steps with undercuts.
I wouldn't say, what are we? Let's call us central New Mexico, kind of, north
Yeah.
central. I wouldn't say there's a lot of difference between us and down there. Would you? Really?
As far as, you mean the difference between, say, Socorro and Las Cruces?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much the same.
Same, right? Yeah. I think there's more trails down there, but
Yeah, there's a lot more
people.
trails.
But is there? Is it just that more people have been out
No, there's more.
cutting those trails,
There's,
doing those trails?
I think the BLM down there has made it more accessible and acceptable, right? The BLM land around Socorro, there's a defined area for off-road use, and it's not that big comparatively. Another question that came up is, what do people mean by wheeling season? You hear that term wheeling season being thrown around a lot, but the point made was that here in New Mexico we wheel year round. And I know for me it means when off-road events start in usually I think probably March. I guess now there's stuff going on in Utah, right?
Yeah, winter 4x4 jamboree.
So when those events start and when the events kind of wind down at the end of the year.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of break between, for us, winding down would be Chili Challenge for events. And if we went to the 4x4 Winter Jamboree, that would be starting up, I don't know, pretty quickly. But I think for us, really, the season, if we called it a season, if we weren't talking about, right, if we're talking about events, would be kind of, the time off would be, for us, kind of from October to March, right? That's when there's a break in events because of holidays and everything that's going on. As far as weather and stuff, for us, we're very fortunate that we don't have to worry about that. Except for right now, it's pretty damn cold out, right? It'd be a little rough out there with the wind right now and the cold temperatures. But short of...
But next week it could be a completely different story.
Last week was a completely different story.
Yeah, last week, I mean, we're, in January, and it was over 70 degrees. It was like T-shirt weather out there.
Yeah, it was warm. So I don't know that there's a wheeling season per se as far as weather for us. I don't even think events matter anymore now. I think it's for us when we need to do a rebuild something, fix something, right? And then I think we're just planning that either kind of in the hottest time of the year or in between events.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think it's
Which
really
also
changed.
happens to be the coldest time of the year. So
Yeah. But we didn't do it last year. Right? We waited for...
Well, last year we waited for the heat.
Right, we waited for the heat.
That was our downtime.
Yeah. So for us, it changes kind of depending on what we need to do and some things. But the weather doesn't matter much for us, which is great.
So what are we doing this year? What are we planning so far?
Sometimes we go to the brewery and make bad decisions. We've done this in the past. We did wheel every weekend in April. Turns out there were 5 weekends in that April.
That was a year before last.
A couple years ago. That was definitely a challenge. Broke both vehicles. Couldn't hardly complete the last one.
Yeah, we had to procure a shit box and XJ to make it through the last weekend.
So this year we got the great idea. We're going to be Jeremy. Is going to celebrate 50 trips around the sun this year, and he wants to do it out in San Hollow.
And now everybody knows.
Yeah,
how old he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna go to San Hollow first week of March, and then the asinine plan, as it sits today, is to just leave Sand Hollow in Hurricane, Utah, and go straight to Mason, Texas, for 4 days of Great American Crawl, 2 days at Katemsi, and 2 days at Wolf Caves.
Realistically, talking to it now, maybe we should just do 3 days there. But we'll see. I mean,
well, yeah, that's what I suggested. That.
Yeah, now that I think about it a little bit, that might be a good idea.
Which 2 days are first? Wolf Caves or Katemsi? Do you know?
I don't remember. I think it's Katemsi, but I don't remember.
All right, and then
so that's our big first event of the year. We're gonna be at one part of the country and then go all the way halfway across the country to the other side. Then I don't know. It's got a lot going on this year.
Yeah, I think
to see what happens after that.
Yeah, April through August is to be determined.
Yeah. I mean, we'll still do Chili Challenge, probably, of course.
Probably
Trail Hero.
Four Corners.
4x4
week.
We'll do that one for sure.
Yeah.
Right. Trail Hero might be a question, depending on what's going on with everything. But 4 Corners and Chili Challenge are probably write those in pen. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I think this year you have to do Trail Hero.
Yeah, I think so too. Won't get into that.
Yeah.
But obligations. So speaking of events, when you're looking at an event or a trail run, like, so let's say somebody does a Facebook event notification, we're doing this trail run at this place on this day, and it's stock friendly. When you see stock friendly, what does that mean to you?
What does that really mean, or what does that mean?
Let's talk about organized events.
Okay.
What do you think most people assume when they see stock friendly, that a trail is stock friendly?
They can take their stock vehicle out there.
Like bone stock, right?
That's my understanding of stock.
How often is it the case
that the trail is stock friendly,
Yeah.
or stock friendly Jeeps go out or vehicles go out there?
Well, let's start with the first one, that the trail is actually stock friendly.
You know, it's hard for me to remember what that's like, right? When we did Flagstone Road, to me, that is very stock friendly.
Yeah.
But you were telling me that people were reviewing it saying it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, okay, that's a good example, right? This is a trail that you could traverse in a passenger car, as long as it didn't have a real low clearance. You know, not like a sports car kind of clearance, but
Any SUV.
Any SUV for sure.
Right. Truck.
A Volvo cross country, or easy.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I would think so.
A stock, like a little Jeep Patriot or something, no problem. Subaru.
Liberty.
Yeah. Subaru Outback, no problem. But yeah, some guy drove it, caused a knee-jerk reaction. He said it was, not stock friendly, and I mean, the biggest thing on there is probably, that tall, and I mean, there's not much of that, right? There's a little bit of rock, and it's not loose. They're not, football sized rocks. It's hard. It's solid, maybe some little 5 or 6 inch steps. But yeah, enough panic ensued to get the trail rating changed. So
it's not stock friendly anymore?
it is. It absolutely is. But yeah, I mean, I think the same thing, right? If it's the same thing when, and I think, okay, let me ask you this. If a trail is advertised to be easy, does that mean stock friendly?
No. I think that's the defining. Easy is easy. Stock friendly is stock friendly.
But shouldn't a stock Wrangler be able to do an easy trail?
I don't know.
A stock 4x4?
I don't know. I don't know. Because easy's I think that's why it needs a rating, right? Easy's not a rating. Easy's a description.
Right, but easy encompasses a range, right? Like a 1 and 2 trail rating?
I don't know the trail ratings, right? That should be maybe a trail rating. Should be stock friendly and then easy 1. Or right, stock friendly's a 1. Easy goes to 2 and 3. 4 and 5's whatever.
Moderate.
6 and 7.
Hard.
And then 8 plus.
Extreme.
Okay. And I don't know. Maybe is it broken down like that?
We know of at least one that is. One event. Okay. So your other point about how many stock vehicles turn up for trail runs that are
How many vehicles should be out there of the stock friendlies?
No, I mean, how many stock vehicles or mostly stock vehicles will turn out for hard trails?
All of them?
Sometimes it feels like that, but there's always some, right?
Yeah, there's always some.
Okay, here's another one. Is there an ideal number of rigs to have on a trail based on whatever factor? Difficulty, length. What's a good number? I mean, when you go out, how many rigs do you want to roll with on, say, hard to extreme trails?
Depends on who it is and what's going on. Right? I think when we ran Chain Reaction, that was about the max that I'd want out on that.
Was that ideal, or would you prefer to have even fewer?
Well, that's what I mean. Like, if I can control it, sure. Well, I don't know.
So there were 14 or 15 rigs on that trail that day.
Was there really?
Yeah.
It didn't seem like that many. Seemed like 9.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Okay, so
9.
It
was the buggies and us 3. I think it depends on what. I don't know. Like, I couldn't control it, so what it was what it was, and I thought it was a good amount. If it had been like 40 or 35 or whatever, would it have been a different story for the day?
That would have been a nightmare. But you see when these invitations go out, either through private messages or a Facebook event, like, people sometimes do limit the number of rigs. So for me,
which I don't know.
Okay, what's your minimum on a hard trail, hard to extreme?
Mine is 2.
Yeah.
But yours is 3.
Mine is 3.
Right. I would rather do it with 2, but
yeah.
Mostly because they don't have to see us bicker.
We never do that. That doesn't happen. And yeah, what's the for me, like 3 minimum to 6. That's like the sweet
Yeah, I think
range.
that's a sweet spot, but I think it depends, right? Like if it's with our crew, like when we go out to San Hollow, whatever. But it's a crew, you know what I mean? Like whatever, we'll all will together. You know, it doesn't. What's it matter? Whether it's gonna be 6 or 15 of us.
It matters, I think. For me, it matters depending on the builds of the rigs, right? If you, because a lot of times there's a pretty diverse mix
Not with what we're going.
of builds.
You think?
Well,
I mean, we'll be the smallest.
when we talk about organized events versus like
No, I'm talking about the
private,
crew. I'm talking the private crew.
it depends. Sometimes they're mostly built, but last time we went down for an formal gathering, back in December, right? There were some folks that struggled.
It was stock friendly though.
Part of it was. All right. So if you've made it this far, good on you. But what's your opinion? If leave us
Yeah.
a comment.
Let us know what you feel is the right
you
amount.
know, because obviously everybody's been on trails, hard trails with tons of rigs, that may or may not have been built for it, and it can be a real long day. Also, I mean, for me, 3's good because it's just more resources. So it definitely came in handy last weekend.
Yeah, for sure.
You
We
know,
needed.
being able to put a winch on both sides of a vehicle or both ends of a vehicle, things like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that definitely helped. That would have been tough if we. I don't know what we would have done.
Well, we would have figured it out, but it would have been tougher for sure. Okay. Communications, radios.
Please get a radio.
Yay or nay?
Yay. 100% yay. Look, nobody follows the fucking rules. That's what makes me mad, right? Keep the person in your rearview mirror that's behind you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a problem.
And when you don't do that, a radio makes up the difference so people can start saying, hey, I don't see them behind me. Hey, did you turn at the Y?
Yeah, hey, I need to pee.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think
I mean,
that's
for me, it's super helpful to know if somebody behind me is having a problem, if they're broken down or they're stuck or anything else. So
You know what I learned with Andrew though? This past time, who's the guy that drives the buggy? I mean the Bug VW, the Rockstar guy. Nick
Ashby.
Nick. So I kind of thought it was wild that he wore the big headset, but now I totally understand why. He cannot hear the radios over that engine, and neither could Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
He could not hear the radio at all. Like he had to shut his Jeep off to communicate. So now I understand the headsets. Seems like a better idea now. But
Yeah, that V8 with that badass exhaust.
yeah, like he couldn't hear anything. So yes.
Not
Radios.
to mention hearing loss, man. I think since that last build we did on mine, and now I'm running no muffler and the tailpipe's right next to my left ear. I feel like I don't hear as well as I did 6 months ago. But
Yeah. So
probably has nothing to do with anything. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the radio.
yeah, I think it's super important for safety. Just keeping up with everybody. I mean, it's an investment. I get it, but it looks like, let's all knock on wood,
Well,
that
some of them are cheap. I mean, GMRS radios now. I mean, you can get those things on Amazon for super cheap.
yeah. But and I get it. I get it. It's a pain in the ass, especially for some of the people that have been doing this for a long time, right? That are just kind of sick of it, right? Having 6 different radios in a span of 6 years, 10 years for sure.
Yeah, there's been a lot of changes in technology. They can be a pain in the ass too when people are, as we used to say back in the U.S. Navy, skylarking, grab ass. They're just bullshitting on the radio about every.
That is the downfall. Shut up. No one cares.
Yeah, keep it professional, or at least limited.
Or get you 2 sets of radios and give your friends 1 set on a different channel.
Yeah. Then you can talk shit about us while we're out on the trail, and we won't know.
Yeah. We don't carry 2 radios for that reason.
Exactly.
We're not talking shit.
All right. So if you have, especially if you're in the you don't really need radios camp, man, I would love to hear, your rationale for that. Not because I have an opinion one way or the other. It's a sincere question. Like I'm sure there are reasons. I mean, one you just mentioned. I mean, it's a distraction. It also takes one of your hands to operate it, unless you have it in that broadcast mode where the mic's always live.
Which is worse.
Which is worse because then everybody hears everything all the time. But if it's just, I could see if it was like, competition is just you and your
spotter,
your co-pilot, whatever, right? That's different. Or you and your pit, different.
Right.
But yeah, let us know your thoughts on that.
Struck a nerve with that with me.
No, I could tell. Your hackles raised up. All right. Last question.
Okay.
What's something that you thought or believed when you started doing all this nonsense that you no longer subscribe to? Something you've learned, maybe. A myth that you believe that got busted. Sounds like maybe there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
nothing personal.
Right. I think tire size matters, right? Like, it really does matter. You can be a good driver on 33s or 35s, but tire size matters. If your Jeep's built for it, right? Like, if you're not built for it, you're just breaking things, which we've done, right? That's why we're where we're at. But coming off ledges, bigger tires can really help with that, with the control of it and everything. I think that's one. I did kind of always believe that there might be a point where my build's done.
I think everybody kind of thinks that at some point, like, oh yeah, just this, once I get to this point, I'm done. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're fooling yourself.
I guess so.
It's never done. Yeah, for me, that would be the same, the tires and axles thing, right? We did an episode on this topic early on, about people say you don't need big tires and big axles to wheel. And I think at a certain level, not having them is a liability. So yeah, like you said, you can be a great driver on 33s or 35s. If you're doing real hard stuff, you're going to be an even better driver with that extra clearance and
Strength.
You're you're not going to have to beat your shit so hard to get it where you want it to go.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you can absolutely do it without hydro assist, without upgraded anything, but there's a point at which it gets real tough. So that was kind of a thing. I think you're right. There's a confirmation bias there too. You know, when I was running smaller tires and axles, and people were saying, "Yeah, you know, you don't need tons and 40s to do this shit." You know, I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds good to me because I don't have those, and I don't have the means to make that happen." So,
And they're really expensive. So
yeah, I'm gonna get in that camp for sure.
yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it's definitely, it's just, I mean, it's still things break, but it's just, it seems now when something breaks, it's not quite as detrimental, right? When I was breaking things on my high pinion 30, right, it was a locker or the gears or shafts or whatever, right? Now, I haven't really broken anything
Yeah,
yet. I mean, I know it's coming, right? Something's going to happen, but we've gone a lot longer without destroying something. So I think that's my biggest thing.
yeah. I think another one for me was thinking that things would be forever, like this rig, like this is the rig I'm gonna have for forever. Now I don't know.
Hmm.
Probably for some time longer, but unless I make some drastic modifications to it, like get rid of the tub. If I don't do that, then yeah, probably something more purpose built.
Yeah, but
For
why
rock
do
crawling.
that? You're halfway. If all that work and we're halfway built a buggy, might as well just start fresh.
Or chop it up. We'll see. Time will tell.
Boy.
So, yeah, we mentioned this at the top, but if you haven't checked out Team Malachowski's YouTube channel, check it out. It's all one word, Team Malachowski,
TMA.
TMA, and some great videos of rock crawling in New Mexico. Their latest one is really cool. Just some straight, unfiltered crawling, very skilled driving, and a lot of fun to watch. So that one's they've got Two Trails, Shortcut, and Last Chance on their latest video. But check them out on YouTube. We'll leave a link to their channel in the notes below. And as always, we're very interested in your comments. We really appreciate them. Any topics that you'd like to hear us discuss, we're all about it. So thanks for tuning in. If you made it this far, wow, I'm impressed. And thank you. Like and subscribe, and anything else?
New year, new me.
All right. See you on the trails. You can see the new Jason.
Yeah.